Good evening and welcome to the Youth and Substance Use webinar series hosted by the National Alcohol and Drug Abuse Prevention Program, NADAP, a division of the Ministry of Health. I am Lyra Thompson Hollingsworth and I will be your host for this evening's proceedings. Over the past few weeks, we delved into several issues regarding young people and their development because in most cases, substance use begins before adulthood, and we would have explored into the reasons why this is so. We would have presented on parenting and the facts surrounding major options for substance use, namely alcohol, vaping, and marijuana. It is intended that the information shared will empower all stakeholders and indeed every citizen who may have direct influence on a young person, whether you are a parent, teacher, employer, or a leader of a community or faith-based organization, and to continue to build the protective factors and to mitigate against risk factors so that our young people will be best insulated against the possibility of drug experimentation. Today, we will be presenting on the topic of new psychoactive substances. Changes in the times always leads to innovation, and with the dangerous drug market, there is no difference. Your presenter for today is my colleague, Ms. Michelle Nasseir, Acting Deputy Director at the Trinidad and Tobago National Forensic Science Center, Ministry of National Security. Ms. Nasseir has been employed at the center since July of 2000 and has been the head of the toxicology section for 17 years, where she performed analyses of drugs, alcohol, and poisons in biological specimens and crime scene evidence. She possesses a Bachelor of Science and Master's degree in Chemistry and Analytical Chemistry from UWI St. Augustine. She is also the holder of a certificate in the analysis of drugs in biological specimens from the Department of Forensic Science and Medicine, University of Glasgow, Scotland, and a certificate in the Substance Abuse Prevention Policy and Forensic Toxicology from Johns Hopkins University, Baltimore, Maryland, USA. She has completed internships at the Toxicology and Controlled Substances Laboratories in the Connecticut Department of Public Safety and the Baltimore office of the Chief Medical Examiner in the USA, as well as a fellowship to the University of Toronto, Canada, as a research assistant. She has given evidence in courts of law in Trinidad and Tobago as an expert witness in toxicology cases. She was a member of the Society of Forensic Toxicology and made presentations at regional meetings and at the International Association of Forensic Toxicology. She sits on the steering committee of the Adult Drug Treatment Court of Trinidad and Tobago and assists with the operationalization of the Children's Drug Treatment Courts. You are reminded that these sessions do not facilitate a live question and answer segment, but you may send in your questions at nadapprograms@health.gov.tt, and one of our professionals will respond in a timely manner. I now hand over to you, Ms. Nasseir.
Good evening, and thank you, Ms. Thompson Hollingsworth, for that wonderful introduction. My name is Michelle Nasseir, and it's a pleasure to be here. The Forensic Science Center is more often known for conducting autopsies and providing evidence in courts of law. So this evening, it is indeed our honor to pull back the curtain a little bit and feature the Forensic Science Subdivision. This is the lab that would usually perform tests and generate results from submissions by the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service and Customs. I'm excited. I'm inviting you to come on in, and let's begin. For you to better understand what we are going to be discussing and looking at, I've divided into 8 areas. We're going to look at some concepts first, and then we're going to see what drugs we are seeing in Trinidad among the 11 to 15-year-olds, 16 to 21, 22 to 25-year-olds, and then how these new psychoactive substances are coming into our markets, why persons are taking them, and what the health risks are. And finally, we'll see what is actually in our laws and whether these substances are legal or illegal. So what are new psychoactive substances? Well, the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime divided these new substances into 9 categories, as you're seeing on the top right side of the screen. These new substances, new psychoactive substances, are drugs which are designed to replicate the effects of illegal substances like cannabis, cocaine, and ecstasy, while still remaining legal. That may sound a little confusing because you have illegal substances and other drugs that act like them but that are still legal. How do we understand this? Well, illegal substances on your right, like amphetamine and methamphetamine, think of these as keys. And all persons have done is change the keychain on the keys. The keys will still work, but the actual compound has changed. So we see in this slide, just changing one substance, one functional group, an extra oxygen on the compound, changes amphetamines to catenones, methamphetamines to metcatenones, and so on. And the catenones are now legal. But it's still, the key part of the drug has remained the same and it will still act the same way. These new psychoactive substances, little is known about their effects. Often, they are being manufactured under non-ideal conditions, so there's no quality control here. So they can put anything in them, as you'll see in the coming slides. The toxic effects are also not known because drugs can be added, drugs can be substituted, so you're almost playing Russian roulette as to what substances you will find when you take these substances. It makes their effects unpredictable. Drug transportation is a concept we must understand because the drugs have to move from outside to inside of your cells. We're going to be looking at 3 different ways that they can do this. Staying with the key and lock hypothesis, think of your cell membranes as a wall of fat molecules that contain doors or doorways. In the far left, the yellow picture shows one particular door. In Trinidad, we sometimes have bead curtains. Think of this door as a bead curtain. Molecules can pass freely through them. There's no barrier. These drugs are therefore fat-soluble drugs, and the cell walls pose no barrier to their penetrating. This makes the action super quick. The middle slide, the purple one, these are a picture of a cell wall where the door has a lock inside of it, protein molecules. And the drugs are these keys that can unlock the door and get in very easily. Lastly, there are some drugs, and the suppliers know this, they put 2 drugs together. One very harmless one that almost punches in a code into the door to open it and allow the drug through. We'll see all 3 examples of these in the new psychoactive substances that we're going to be looking at. I challenge you to tell me which drug you think is the one that is fat soluble and will penetrate through your cell membranes as if they are just bead curtains, no barrier. Lastly, the last concept we're going to do before we actually look at the drugs are pharmacodynamics and pharmacokinetics. Pharmacokinetics, big words, we're going to try to make them simple. Pharmacokinetics is what the body does to the drug. All drugs will be treated exactly like this in your body. They have to be absorbed, and this is where the drug transportation comes in, how they get from outside the cells to inside your cells. Then they'll be metabolized, distributed, and finally eliminated from the body. For these drugs, the target organ is usually the brain, because that's the only way to keep the person addicted. They're looking for that pleasure reward response. Pharmacodynamics is what the drug will do to the body, and this is where the harmful effects will be seen. So, what I'm going to show you is what we're seeing in Trinidad and Tobago, what has been submitted to the Forensic Science Center, and what we're seeing, what we have confirmed as being present in the drugs. I'm going to take this opportunity to talk about a drug that was pointed out to me by my colleague, Mr. Sinclair, as a drug that is more seen among the younger population. It's called lean, and it's a drink. Everything in this drink is legal because it's just cough syrup, codeine mixed with Sprite, with a little sweetie called a Jolly Rancher mixed inside of it. Everything there is legal, it's easy to buy, and so on. But this is a very harmful drink that young persons are engaging in. It's called lean because while they're drinking it, they slouch or lean to one side, and it has been made popular by music among rappers and musicians. It has nicknames such as Dirty Sprite, Syrup, Purple Drunk. Lil Wayne idolizes this in his songs and has been known to be hospitalized with seizures from drinking this. It has even been linked to deaths. Pharmacodynamics of lean. Lean, which contains codeine in it, is an opiate. Slows your heart, slows your breathing, can cause seizures as we see. It will penetrate your cells within 30 to 45 minutes and last for 1 to 2 hours. I put lean into this presentation because of the pharmacokinetics of lean. Lean contains codeine, as we said, and in the body trying to eliminate it, it produces something more addictive. In my slide, you see codeine being metabolized in the liver to morphine. We know morphine as a very highly addictive opioid. It is the same metabolite that occurs if you ingest heroin. Narcotics Anonymous groups usually tell you it's not what you take, how, when, where you take a drug, but what happens when you take it. Drinking lean and drinking morphine produces the same metabolite. Heroin is totally illegal, codeine is legal, but you're getting the same product. So is it safe to use? You be the judge. And when they can't get lean, they go to the other over-the-counter prescriptions, the NyQuil and the Robitussin. They substitute the codeine and they use these substances, and it produces the exact same combination. It's called robotripping because they're using Robitussin. Now it's going to produce hallucinogenic reactions. So although it's legal, it's producing illegal reactions in the body. Among the 11 to 15-year-olds, this was touched on already in my colleague's previous presentation with marijuana. We're seeing marijuana edibles. I'm also highlighting this because the exhibits are being seized in school environments. It's being sold by minors to minors, and it's also being sold in large public gatherings for young people. Notice that you're seeing marijuana, you're seeing cupcakes, you're seeing the Jolly Rancher sweetie, which we just talked about in the lean, and you're seeing gummy bears. And we try to enlarge this to show there are puncture marks in the gummy bears where they are injecting the marijuana into the edible. So if you guess that is marijuana I was talking about as being the fat-soluble substance, you would be correct. As opposed to smoking, where the marijuana will go through your lungs and then to your system and last for, so before you even finish smoking the joint, you're high, literally, because within 10 minutes you feel the effects of smoking marijuana. If you eat marijuana, however, it's going to pass through your stomach and your liver, then it's going to enter the bloodstream, and you're going to get the effects 1 hour after you have digested the food. It's going to come all at once, the dose is going to be higher, and it's going to last a longer time. That's why you have a psychotic event. You have a hallucinogenic event. You see people being rushed to the hospital as a result of this. Smoking as opposed to eating. Eating is that much more deadly, and that's why I'm highlighting it. Again, because forensic is more concerned with the criminal justice system, we will see quite a bit more of the variety of uses that persons have tried to use the illegal substances to get into their systems. So again, vaping was talked about previously in another series. We are seeing vaping pens that contain marijuana oils. We are seeing new variations of marijuana. In this slide, you're seeing something called Tangy. The Tangy is a marijuana that is citrusy in flavor. And we're seeing different vaping apparatus that was seized by the police service. So, among the 16 to 21-year-olds, I have a short video taken off social media concerning the Zessa pill. This video was taken at the end of a party outside the National Stadium. You're seeing young persons collapsed on the ground. The ambulance is present. This was the first red flag with regard to the 16 to 21-year-olds. The Zessa pill. The Forensic Science Center had already started seeing ecstasy since 2018, but in September 2019, the Zessa made its way onto our headlines as a result of this video and the subsequent news that followed. The Zessa pill is what we thought. We didn't know what the Zessa pill was at the time, but we had already detected ecstasy. Ecstasy belongs to our first group in the NPS category. Out of the 9, we're only going to be looking at 3 because we've only detected 3 out of the 9 in Trinidad. And just want to focus our attention on those for a bit. So, ecstasy belongs to the first group, phenethylamines. Phenethylamines are a group of psychoactive drugs with stimulant effects, and it includes amphetamines and MDMA, which is ecstasy. The chemical name is that nice long word you're seeing there, 3,4-methylene dioxymethamphetamine. The street name is ecstasy or Molly. It seems like Zessa is our own local name for ecstasy. The desired effects are increased energy, altered sensations. I like to say it gives you a nice warm fuzzy feeling. The effects last 30 to 45 minutes, and they can last from 3 to 6 hours. Ecstasy is one of those drugs that has the key to the locks. So it's gonna open that protein molecule in your cells and enter right away there's really no barrier. That song you're hearing in the background is the Zessa song. I know most parents haven't heard it, so that's why I'm playing it. The Zessa song was the vehicle that popularized the use of Zessa, of ecstasy pills. The pill that was submitted to us as Zessa, it's in the shape of a man's face with glasses and a hat on. That face is from the movie Breaking Bad. You can see the logo and you can clearly see the resemblance of the Zessa pill to the logo. Zessa is not one pill. It's now a movement, it's now a concept, because there are billboards with it, as is shown in this picture, the Zessa deal. This was a billboard outside the University of the West Indies. Any pill that's coming into us is being sold as a Zessa pill. And we'll see these pills don't contain ecstasy. As we said, we weren't sure what the Zessa pill had in it, but we were already detecting ecstasy back in November 2018. It was enough that we had seen in September persons collapsed on the ground after a party. It happened again in October 2019. Partygoers collapsed on the ground outside a large public event. The Trinidad and Tobago Police Service made a video and issued it on television, warning persons about the rise of the Zessa pill. The Forensic Science Center had been given a Raman testing device. It's shown in your picture. It's used to go on the field and test on the spot, through the packaging, whatever the drug that is put in the package. Raman is a non-destructive way to test for drugs in the field, and it can give you a quick idea as to what the drug contains. We started using this device in November 2018 because the drugs that were coming in were not easily identified using our traditional laboratory equipment and tests. The wet chemistry was not working because these drugs were present as large mixtures of chemicals. To date, we have seen more than 30 different ecstasy tablets. I've tried to show you pictures of them, but we're going to pull out a few of them for special mention. The Kim Jong-un tablet, picture of the North Korean Prime Minister or President. On the face, on one side of the tablet, you have his face, on the other side has a radioactive symbol. Why someone would take a tablet with a radioactive symbol boggles my mind. When we tested this tablet, it contained ecstasy and a few other things that we still have not identified. Of course, if we have the North Korean president, we must have the US president. So we have Donald Trump tablets as well, all different colors. Why I pulled out this one, these tablets, the purple one in particular, was found in the apartment of a university student selling to other university students. They were taking it to stay awake, not appreciating the danger and addictive power of the tablets. Donkey Kong, smiling monkey face, gives you no cause for alarm by looking at it. It's taken from a cartoon character in a movie, Ice Age. More than 4,800 tablets seized at one point. These came in at around Carnival 2019 by a mass band leader and were seized by customs. And lastly, the other one I'm going to pull out for mention is the shield-shaped tablet. It has Dom Perignon engraved on it, which is the logo for a champagne brand. We'll see this tablet shortly in another form. So from October 2018 Until now, we've seen as much as 7,000. We've seized the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service as well as Customs. They have seized more than 7,000 tablets. We've done more than 40 seizures of these tablets. Ecstasy, pharmacodynamics. We see difficulty sleeping as one of the effects the drug has on the body. So that's why they are able to stay up for long hours and study. But it's highly addictive. And deaths can occur as a result because their body temperatures increase, it's a stimulant, and they become dehydrated. You saw the effects of that when persons were collapsed on the ground outside the party. Add alcohol to this mix, and it can very quickly escalate to a life-threatening situation. The green Heineken, again, these are not taken from anywhere else. These are tablets found in Trinidad and Tobago, submitted to the Forensic Science Center, that we have confirmed for the presence of ecstasy. The green Heineken tablet, this tablet is linked to deaths in Germany. An 18 and a 20-year-old went to a party and died as a result of taking the Heineken tablets. The Blue Punisher gets its name from the comic strip called The Punisher. Notice the logo is a skull, and that's the skull that is engraved on the tablet. Again, linked to deaths because of the strength of the ecstasy that is present in these tablets. And lastly, the Blue Pharaoh, another tablet linked to deaths of 2 people in Scotland. We have not confirmed a linkage between ecstasy and deaths in Trinidad as yet, but based upon the number of tablets that we are seeing, the average dose of an ecstasy tablet is between 75 to 100 milligrams of ecstasy. In the UK, this organization called the Loop, they sample the ecstasy tablets available at that time, and they test them and tell you how much ecstasy is in there as part of their harm reduction strategy. And they rank the tablets based upon strength. So for last year, the top 10 strongest ecstasy tablets are shown on your screen. Trinidad and Tobago has 6 out of those 10 strongest ecstasy tablets. We have the top 2. The purple Donald Trump has more than 300 milligrams of ecstasy in the tablet. I don't want you to think for 1 second that we're only getting tablets. We're seeing the powders, we're seeing the crystals, we're even seeing pellets. People are swallowing ecstasy tablets to traffic them. I know you're getting concerned now as parents, but this is actually not the worst slide I'm going to show you. This is the worst slide I'm going to show you. YouTube tablets were seized in Trinidad, and for the first time, we detected methamphetamine in a tablet, crystal meth. Last week, we discovered for the second time crystal meth in the tablet shown to your left. Superman, there's a S on a tablet in the shape of Superman. Superman tablets of different colors. We have not shared this information yet with anyone, so I'm using this to issue the alert. We have seen Superman tablets that contain crystal methamphetamine. We're also seeing, in that same submission to the center, we're seeing the Dom Perignon champagne tablet also contained ecstasy, but previously also contains methamphetamine, my pardon. But you already saw this tablet with ecstasy. So same tablet, but one time it contained ecstasy, now it contains crystal meth. For those of you who don't know what crystal meth is, it's very bad news. It is a psychostimulant just as cocaine, but whereas cocaine is plant-based, methamphetamine is man-made based. Cocaine will last 20 to 30 minutes. Methamphetamine will last 8 to 12 hours. Your body will need 12 hours to get rid of it. It is 12 times the potency of cocaine. You have tablets in Trinidad that contain methamphetamine, and you don't know you're taking them because they think this is Zessa, they think this is Ecstasy. So again, you don't know what you're taking when you're taking these tablets. The long-term effects of methamphetamine: deteriorated teeth because you're grinding your teeth. It will damage your brain, it will damage your liver, it will damage your lungs, it will damage your kidneys. There'll be hallucinations. And again, as I say in Narcotics Anonymous, first the man will take the drug. When he becomes addicted, the drug takes the drug, and finally the drug takes the man. 90% of the users of methamphetamine cannot kick the addiction. Trinidad, we need to pull back. We do not want methamphetamine use in Trinidad. We are not ready for it in national security or in health. So, how can parents tell? Look at the eyes of your children. Your pupils will react according to what drug you are using. If you want to know what size your pupil should be, that's the black dot in the center of your eye, just look at your own eyes and you'll get what the size should be. So if you're taking the lean or you're taking your robotripping, your pupils will be constricted or smaller. They'll be like a little pin drop inside of your eyes. If you're on marijuana or alcohol, where you know your eyes go red. And finally, if you're on methamphetamine or MDMA, your pupils dilate. You can see the large difference between the size it's supposed to be and the size it actually is in someone who is on a stimulating substance like methamphetamine or cocaine or heroin. The young professionals, these are the people who, out of university, out of school, have a job, have that all-important credit card, no responsibilities. They can afford to buy the ecstasy tablets, and it is these tablets we are seeing the NPS drugs, the ones that we have no way of detecting or treating. The first type we're going to look at, the second class of NPS drugs, the synthetic catenones, also called bath salts. These catenones came from the cat plant. They are stimulants. They speed up the message between the brain and the body. And they have similar effects to amphetamines. We just saw the Superman Crest tablet with methamphetamine present. Now we see the Superman tablet with catenone present. The story behind this is that when we got this tablet, we used the Raman device, and all that came up on the Raman device was caffeine. This was submitted to us in October 2019. Raman said that it was caffeine, but any good toxicologist knows you're not going to have caffeine in a tablet only. It has to have something else there. The caffeine will punch in the code in the door and open it for something else to come in. And sure enough, when we put it on the more sophisticated machine, we saw the caffeine peak at 18 minutes, and the small peak at 20 minutes is what we identified as the synthetic catenone MDPV. MDPV is a bath salt. Flakka is a new version of that. You might have heard of Flakka on the streets. It is just a different version of MDPV. So we're not confirming that we've seen Flakka yet. What we're seeing is the same class as Flakka. We also saw another tablet that was submitted to us, Tesla, that contained both ecstasy and another synthetic catenone. These tablets, as you can tell, They appeal to all types of persons. The logos are geared to help you try and identify yourself with something. So whether it be speedy cars, whether it be expensive champagne, the ones that concern me are the ones that are shaped as cartoons because those will appeal to the younger crowd. And they all look very innocent. So there's no alarm bell that's going off. Last one, which is piperazines, the other class. These are also stimulants, but they're usually sold as amphetamines, as MDMA, ecstasy. We find them in pills, capsules, or powders in their own right. But you mix them with ecstasy, you mix them with alcohol, and we have a cocktail of disaster. There'll be vomiting, insomnia, increased body temperatures again. We have also found this in an ecstasy tablet. We call it the Pablo Escobar ecstasy tablet because of the logo. On one side of the tablet, there's the face of Pablo Escobar. Pablo Escobar was more commonly known for cocaine, not ecstasy. However, he has made his name onto ecstasy tablets, again found in Trinidad, confirmed to contain both ecstasy and piperazine. How are these NPS drugs getting into the country? The UNODC questionnaire on NPS drugs in 2012 showed that they were coming in by air or by mail. In Trinidad, we can say we're seeing it in the mail. The majority of these tablets were seized. Initially in 2018, we found them in TT Post. In the mail, people were buying it off the internet and shipping it to themselves. The internet has allowed there to be a polar border. Persons can go on the internet with that all-important credit card and they can find out the places they can buy it, the price they can pay, how to make it even, and the feedback from other users as to its effect. This is borne out in the global survey on the source of NPS drugs. 50% of persons said they got it online. Why are they taking it? Well, there's a perception that it's easy to get because your identity is totally anonymous. So persons have a certain measure of personal safety as a result. It's also enjoyable and it's affordable as well. Again, there's a perception that it is legal. However, due caution is required. There's no safe level for drug use. There's always a risk attached, especially with NPS drugs, because you really don't know what they contain. You should avoid driving, swimming, operating machinery while using these drugs. And again, combined with alcohol, the effects become toxic. We have already shown that 6 out of the 10 ecstasy tablets with the highest concentration from last year are present in the Trinidad and Tobago market. So it's very easy to overdose. However, one of the major concerns that I want to highlight, there's no routine clinical laboratory tests to detect these NPS drugs. You've seen that we've had to go to more sophisticated equipment. That equipment is not available in the emergency rooms. Therefore, the doctors will not be able to correctly diagnose what you are on so that you can be treated. It is safer to use these drugs with somebody who hopefully stays sober so they can advise when you collapse and are unconscious what you have taken. If this doesn't live up to the words of Mother Teresa, never travel faster than a guardian angel can fly, I don't know what else. You're using drugs that the doctors and emergency personnel cannot detect. How did we respond? In November 2019, the Ministry of Health, together with the Attorney General's Office, with input from different stakeholders such as the Forensic Science Center, National Drug Council, they amended the laws of Trinidad and Tobago to include all these new psychoactive substances. I'm showing you the Dangerous Drug Act of 2019. You can see MDMA clearly listed as well. You can see amphetamine is there. You can see methamphetamine is there, MDPV is there. All the new psychoactive substances are now illegal to possess in Trinidad and Tobago. This law may be cited as the Dangerous Drugs Amendment Order. It is Act number 24 of 2019, and the charge is if you possess 5 grams, that means if you have the powder, or 20 tablets of 3,4-methylene dioxymethamphetamine, which is ecstasy, or any other drug listed, so any of those I just showed you in that long list, you will now be guilty of being in possession of a dangerous drug. The offense for which carries a fine and jail time. Finally, my first slide was don't judge what you don't understand. I'm hoping that you now understand the different aspects and probable dangers of NPS. NPS drugs are not approved for human consumption. There are known health effects to other professionals, and other professionals will not be able to give you correct treatment. They have not been studied enough in the scientific literature, so their effects are not always known, so they become toxic and it's very easy to overdose. And finally, they may appear to be easily available, but easy availability does not mean legal or safe. There's no correlation. In Trinidad and Tobago, it is illegal to have any of these drugs. I'll invite you to become aware of the fact that if we reduce the demand for NPS drugs, for ecstasy, then the supply will eventually decrease because it will no longer be profitable. Please, if you have not already done so, go back to the other presentations that went before me in this series. They talked about drugs and alcohol and adolescent development, alcohol, vaping, and marijuana. Thank you for your attention and have a good evening.
Thank you, Ms. Nasseir, for that deeply engaging presentation that was informative, okra, and relevant in our part of the world today. We remind our listeners that if you missed any of the previous sessions, those links, as well as the link for this session, will remain active for future access. You may contact the NADAP Secretariat for further information, and you may also submit your questions at nadapprograms@health.gov.tt, where one of our professionals will respond to you accordingly. You may also continue to refer to the websites of the Ministry of Health and the various stakeholder ministries such as the Ministry of Education or the Ministry of National Security for additional resources which may be helpful in addressing the drug use problem among young people in Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you for being with us today and throughout the series. Do continue to be safe. Have a great evening.